Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host, Ren, and today we continue with the Temple of the Exploding Head, Omnibus, Part 1, Chapter 9, The Future Telling. So last week, Kay and Sam have an ongoing argument where Sam sees the village down the mountainside by the Bay of Bloodstein to be specific, and she sees it and she's just dying to go down there and look around and explore. Who wouldn't want to do something like that? Go see what's there. But having her Snugs medallion that was created for her by Lady Poe, it defeats her ability to change her shape, and she can't really do any of her extraordinary abilities with it on, other than just it keeps her warm, and that's it. So, going down there, if Monomas don't go to Blanchford Village because it's too cold. It's fatally cold for them. So all of a sudden, seeing a Monoma walking around with Kay, the next Lord of Blanchford, would create a scandal. So they've been arguing about how to get this done because Sam's not gonna let it go, and then she tells Kay, cloak me, and he says, I can't cloak you yet. And then Sam gets mad at him, says, I see you doing all these great things in the future, but it's always in the future. I want you to do great things now. And then she threatens to throw him off the terrace. Sink or swim, Kay. It's time for you to get serious about your gifts. Well, Lady Kylos comes in while they're having their little disagreement, and she says, I have known about you guys for a long time, and I heard what you said about wanting to go to the village, and Kay is right. If you're trying to keep your relationship a secret, and she wants to know why it's a secret, and Sam says, well, it's a Monoma tradition, and Kay's not ready for it. So if you're harboring some suspicions as to what might happen if their relationship becomes known, you're probably on the right track. I'm not going to say what it is, but yeah. No, it wouldn't be good. Anyways, and when I speak for Lady Kylos, I wanted to give her kind of like a snooty sort of accent, because she's a bit of a snoot. Not too bad. She's a good person, but she's a little bit of a snoot. And I ended up with this weird, funky voice. I don't know where it came from. I'm not much of a voice talent, But anyways, Kai says, well, I think there's an easy way to do this, so she takes Sam into her giant 3-story boudoir and basically gives Sam a makeover, puts her in a nice dress, some nice boots. Her skin has tinted a little bit as she's been coming out into the sun in Blanchford as often as she has. It's rosed up a tiny bit so she's not dead white like a dead fish, as most Monomas are in their foggy lakeside abode. She files her nails down to a more normal length, and then covers her eyes in a pair of goggles, so that's the big thing, because the eyes, her black eyes. And with these goggles on, you can't see her eyes, so that's a good notion. They go down there because Kai just wanted to be part of the group, wanted to hang out for a change. Because when Philip and Sarah come back in the summers, Sarah doesn't like Lady Kylos at all. She's just too girly for the very tomboyish Sarah. We're getting to Sarah. We hear about her all the time. Hasn't shown up yet. We're getting there. We're getting there, trust me. And they go down there, and Sam loves it. She loves trying the food. She loves exploring the shops. So that is great. So now Sam has these cool goggles that Lady Kylos gave to her, and they're expensive, and Sam feels that she needs to pay Lady Kylos for them in some way. Kai says they're a gift, don't worry about it. And Sam's like, no, I won't have it. I've got to pay for these goggles. So that's what today's chapter is going to concern ourselves. The future telling, and we're going to find out the future does not seem all that rosy. And then if we get it done fast enough, it's a very short chapter, we will go on to the chapter after that called Chapter 10, Kay's Gifts, another very short chapter. We're making our way through the first part of the first book, and it's mostly just establishing Kay and Sam's relationship, a little world building here or there. The the main elements of the story, of the plot, haven't really kicked into high gear, but they're going to start really soon, and this chapter is sort of a harbinger of that. So let's begin immediately. Temple of the Exploding Head Omnibus, Book 1, The Dead Held Hands, Part 1, Kay and Sam, Chapter 9, The Future Telling.
We used to be evil once, and the gods are still punishing us.
As the winter wore on, Sam, Kay, and Lady Kylos became good friends. They often went to the village, Sam in colorful dresses provided by Kai, and wearing the Gretna goggles from Hoban to cover her eyes. As their friendship grew, Kai told Sam she could have the goggles, as they tended to make her dizzy when she wore them anyway. But Sam wouldn't hear of it. She insisted on paying for them in some way, but Sam didn't have much money. "I know," Kai said. "You can look into the future for me and give me a reading. How about that?" Sam was dubious. The future isn't a place I like to see, Kai," she said. "Oh, come on. It'll be fun." It took some convincing, as Sam clearly didn't want to do it. However, after a bit of talking, she relented. They dressed down in sturdy clothing and went out into the grove. Sam said she needed to be as close to the earth as possible in order to see. Being under the earth was even better. Kay had planned to crash into the vast underworld of Castle Blanchford. However, Lady Kylos was too claustrophobic to follow them. She did not like small spaces. The best place to go, then, would be out in the grove near the Holt courtyard. There were a number of easy, roomy tunnels to move through in that area, so Kai should be fine. As they trudged out to the Holt courtyard, Sam was wearing one of her permanently appropriated bodysuits and a pair of sandals, along with her usual Snugs medallion, the little wings flapping steadily. Her body steamed a bit in the cold air, especially from her head. Kay and Kai wore smithy-style clothing that they didn't mind getting dirty. The Holt courtyard was wreathed in giant oak and nadine trees, in the shadow of Dead Hill, the old Blanchford necropolis atop the mushroom-shaped hill to the south. The low-slung confusion of tombs and vaults were spread out across the top of Dead Hill, like a layer of gray frosting on a cake. At the west end of the courtyard, Mother's beloved statue loomed, dappled with snow and accented in lights. They got to the courtyard and Kay plunged off the trail, moving through the trees. He located a heavy metal hatch half buried in the snow. "Here it is." He tried the hatch and it wouldn't turn. Rusted shut, it seemed. This happens every winter. He struggled with it. "Sam," he said, and she knelt down and gripped the handle. She struggled a moment, and then the handle broke loose with a clank. "Oh, that was really rusted shut," Sam said, spinning the hatch open. "We don't use this tunnel much anymore. It's for kids." Kai looked within the dark hole with some trepidation as Sam cleared away the rest of the snow. "Are you sure this is safe, Kay? I just don't like small spaces." He held his hand out. "It's fine, Kai. This tunnel is big and straight, and it isn't very long. These tunnels here are pretty easy. This tunnel goes under the oak trees over there and comes back out on the other side near the feet of Mother's statue. Mother doesn't even rate this with her stone system. It's a zero stoner, as Sarah likes to call it." Kai, carrying a light, took his hand and entered slowly and carefully, feeling her way with every step. The tunnel within went down about 10 feet in an easy slope and then leveled out. The tunnel was about 4 feet high and made of hard packed earth. It ran into the bowers of the oak tree above. The tangled old growth roots created a large dry vault where they could stand straight. This used to be one of my, Sarah, and Philip's favorite hideouts when we were younger. We trucked all sorts of stuff in here for our adventures. Some of it is probably still lying around if you look for it. Sam quickly found an empty can of red gasol, left there years ago by Sarah, no doubt, as red gasol was her drink of choice. Kay found a good spot in the roots and seated Kai. "You okay, sis?" he asked. She was sweating, just on the verge of panicking, and after a minute or two she swallowed and composed herself. "See? It's not so bad under here, right?" She nodded tentatively. Kay set the light down as Sam removed her sandals and began digging at the ground. Why are we under here again, please?" Kai asked as Sam dug. "You wanted me to see the future for you. I have to be near the ground to see the future. The gods are in the earth, and I must revel in it." Kay set up several heaters and directed them at Sam and turned them on. The vault quickly became very warm. Sam sat down and took the loose dirt she dug up and rubbed herself with it. "Can you help me, Kay?" she asked. He came over and rubbed dirt into her back. He rubbed a little on her cheeks, and she gave him a kiss. "Kai, are you sure you wish this? Sometimes knowing a thing ahead of time makes the thing much worse than it actually is. Worrying about the future can be terrible, and I'll ask you one more time. Are you certain you wish this?" Yes, Sam, I do." "All right." She removed her medallion and handed it to Kay. She instantly clenched up a bit, even though she was centered in the heater's beam. "Are you all right, Sam?" She took a moment and slowly recovered. Yes, I'm fine. It's so cold in here. Now, the future will come upon me, and I will fall into a trance. You may ask me specific questions, and I will answer. I will probably speak in Anui. Kay will translate. These visions can go out of control. I just want you to know that. I might start saying things that don't make much sense. Just talk to me, say my name, and I will recover. Sampha? Sure, Sam, sure, Kai replied. Kay seated himself next to Kai. Sam sat there in the middle of the vault, cross-legged, covered in dirt, trembling slightly. Now what? Kai asked. Now we wait, Sam said. The future is here with us. It won't be long now. Sam sat there motionless for a while. Lady Kylos forgot about her discomfort at being in the tunnel a bit. Kay, she whispered into his ear. I have to go to the bathroom. Shh, Kay said. And then Sam stirred. She said a few things in Anui. What did she say, Kay? I think she said you're not going to the bathroom. Kai laughed. Oh, sure I am. Really, I need to pee. Sam said a few more things. Kai, Sam wants you to ask her something. Oh, creation. What do I ask? She thought a moment. Okay. Sam, when will I get rid of my damn puppies? Sam replied in Anui. I think she said 5 years from now. Kay translated. 5 years? Kai was beside herself. Is she sure? Are you translating that right? Sam responded. Yes, and yes, she's sure. Oh, feature. 5 damn more years of this. Oh, will I be beautiful once it's gone? Again in Anui. She says you will be considered to be very beautiful. She also says Lady Togstra will not be happy about your beauty. Oh, she's a bitch. Kai smiled and sat back down, forgetting about her need to visit the bathroom. Well, that's something anyway. Will I be prettier than her? No, wait. When is she going to be married? Sam said something. Kay was confused. What? Sam, I didn't understand that. What did she say? She said something about Lady Togstra of Miles being taken in 003245. Really? Kai said. That long before she gets married? She's got a while to go then. Oh, okay, Sam. Who is she going to marry? Who is the unlucky fellow? Kay was a bit exasperated. Kai, we came out here to explore the future, and all you're worried about is who your friends are going to marry? Is that all you want to know? Yes, Kay, that is what I want to know. More ennui. She said Cogster of Wayland. Kai laughed out loud. Lord Cogster of Wayland, the fellow from Esther with the fungal problem? Perhaps when they get married in 003245, he'll have cleared up a bit. Oh, this is great. He is a shock-eyed Joe boy. Kai, watch your language, Kay said. Sam mumbled. I think she said they will be married in 003222. You said they will be married in 003245, Kai returned. No, she said Lady Togstra will be taken in 003245. Not married, taken. Well, what does that mean? Where is she going? More mumbling. Kay was confused. What did she say? Kai asked. Well, I think she said Lady Togstra will die in 003217. Kai was confused. Die? How can she be married in 003222? Be taken 23 years later in 003245 and be killed in 003217. That's just 30 years from now. I must say, though, the prospect doesn't really bother me much. I really don't like Lady Togstra. Kay rubbed Sam's shoulders. Well, I think she's starting to skip around a bit. She warned us that might happen. Okay, Sam, who am I going to marry? Kai asked, wringing her hands. Sam began to speak, but Kai shot up and stopped her. Oh, no. I changed my mind. I don't want to know. You were right. She stood and made to exit the tunnel. I am done, guys. Thanks. Sam, you have paid for the goggles in full. Seriously, I have to go pee. Sam's arm shot out and grabbed her by the wrist, holding her fast. Ow! Kai cried. Sam, that hurts. 003256, Sam said. What? 003256 is when they take you to... who takes me? Sam grimaced. Hathaline. Lady Hathaline takes me? Where does she take me? Tank, Sam said in lead common. Takes you to the tank where they all go. Sam seemed lost. She switched back and forth in time. She spoke in ennui. Okay, what did she say? She said you and Sarah get into a fight. A fight? Me and Sarah? Fighting is so unladylike. I don't fight with people. But I hope I win. Sarah's mean. No, she's not, Kay said. Not to you, but to me, she's nothing but nasty. I get a little tired of it sometimes. Sam was deep in a funk. She spoke again in ennui. What? Sam, Kay said. What was that? What did she say? I think she said something about bowling. Bowling? Sam began a long drone in ennui, Kay following along as best he could. She says we bowl in a hidden place, very dark. Somebody is there. They are there. Who's there? I don't know. She says people I know are there waiting for us. Kay shook Sam a little. Sam, wake up. Sam didn't stir. Sam! Wake up! Her eyes snapped open. She was panicked in terror. She babbled in ennui. Sam, I can't understand. What are you saying? Sam! She tore out of the tunnel, holding her face in her hands. Sam, where are you going? You need your medallion. Kay ran out after her, with Kai trailing. Sam moved like a streak to the northeast, deep into the dense oak trees of the grove. Kay followed as fast as he could, but soon she was out of sight. Fortunately, she left an obvious trail of deep footprints in the snow, appearing to stumble several times. Kay, wait! Kai cried from well in the rear. Sam's footprints meandered through the trees, moving past an ancient Vith amphitheater and continued on. The 10 Gardens was just ahead, through the oak trees. In a small oak clearing, he saw Sam slumped on her knees. She was holding a handful of snow, cradling it to her, turning her hands blue. Kay plunged in and came to her side. Her skin was spiderwebbed with veins. She gasped for air. He fumbled with the medallion for a moment, then got it safely around her neck, great clouds of steam quickly working their way out of her hair. Sam, what's wrong? Oh no, she said. Oh no. What's that word? I don't know that word. We'll stand here? Sam cried, her voice a mixture of triumph and cold-induced shock. The Olno will stand here. And with that, we conclude part 1, chapter 9, The Future Telling. So, as Sam warned Lady Kylos, scrying into the future isn't always a pleasant thing. It's easy to become lost. And Sam tells Kai some disturbing things. Kai, of course, says she's asking pretty petty questions like who her friends are going to marry and if she's going to be pretty when she sheds her puffies. And don't forget, Lady Kylo suffers from the puffies, as most Sith children do up until their 20s, where their face is kind of distorted and misshapen a little bit. It's just part of their life as ever young and disease-free. Their childhood is a little bit malformed, and some of them get it worse than others, and Kay never got it at all. In future books, Lady Millicent, we've heard of Millicent's name, she's just a toddler in this book, has it really bad. And she even has to wear like a cloaking device that around her neck. Then when she turns it on, it just turns her whole head and neck invisible. So sometimes it looks like she's headless as she walks around the castle in her gown. A lot of people who have the puffies really bad wear the same kind of thing. So every so often you'll see like headless people walking about the league. I always thought that was kind of a creepy and cool thing. But Sam starts telling her strange. She starts asking Sam about Lady Togstra of Miles, some friend of hers, more of like a social rival. And she tells her that she's going to be taken 23 years from now, and then she's going to die 3 years from now. And Kai's like, well, how is she going to die 3 years from now when she's taken 23 years late? And who takes her? Where does she go? Sam doesn't say, but then she says, they're going to take you too, Kai. And she says, well, who takes me? And she says, Hathaline, their sister, Hathaline. And then where does she take me? She says, to the tank, and doesn't really describe it any further. Doesn't sound good, and it's not good once we actually find out these things, what this tank is. It's not a pleasant thing at all. So that, and then Sam kind of freaks out, and then she runs out into the snow, which can kill her, and Kay has to take off after her, but he's not nearly as fast as Sam is. But following her footprints in the snow, he finds her, and she's pointing at the ground in a clearing. And she says, the Olno will stand here one day. And he doesn't know what that word means, the Olno. The Olno. And she points at the ground, kind of in triumph, in joy, and shock, as she's quickly dying without her medallion. Kay gets it on her, though, and she's okay. But quite a weird thing. Quite a weird thing. So that's some ominous portents of things to come in this book. So let's see here. That was a really short chapter. The next chapter, chapter 10, Kay's Gifts, is also pretty short. Let's go ahead and knock it out so we can get some of these intermediate chapters out of the way and get more into the meat of the story. We all like meat. I love meat. Let's get more meat. So let's knock this out. Chapter 10, Kay's Gifts. So what exactly is this? Sam asked, holding the parchment. It's the official pronouncement of my gifts by the Sturters. They're a branch of the Sisterhood of Light. The Sturters go around and determine what gifts you have, and if you start developing gifts that are not on their list, you can actually get in a lot of trouble. Sam put the parchment down. We don't think much of the sisters in the Monomolands. Lands. They seem rather off-putting. So it says here that I have the gift of cloak and the gift of waft. My profile, as listed by the Sturters, makes me look more like a Remnath than a Vith. This paper is meaningless. You also have the gift of sight. Sam and Kay were underneath the castle in the labyrinthine, quiet spaces. They had crawled a long way. The passes weren't heated, and they were formerly too cold for Sam to enter. But with her medallion, she could follow Kay, her gown shed in favor of a bodysuit. They had crawled a long way and had made their way into a dusty space just high enough for them to sit up. Kay's flashlight made a laser beam of yellow light contaminated with passing stars of dust. So you say you've had visions of me, and that you've seen me having the sight? Sam snuggled up against him, steam pouring off of her body. Yes, she said. Her hand wandered into his belly button, as it usually did when she was feeling amorous, and that was happening more and more. Perhaps it was Vith ego speaking for somewhere deep inside, or possibly his personal pride. But he didn't feel it was right to go much further with Sam other than innocent kissing, because at this stage of his life, Sam was a much more formidable person than he was. She was incredibly strong. She was impossibly fast. Her senses, especially her nose and sense of smell, were highly acute. She could blink away and send herself virtually anywhere on Cana. She could transmute her thoughts. She could change her shape. And she could see the future. What could Kay do? He just didn't feel he measured up, and therefore never allowed himself to share a bed with her. Though that's what she expected of him with growing force. She had a favorite saying in Annui that she said when she was feeling particularly frustrated. "Themar Vith consolamo," which meant, "The Vith are so damn demure." So, what did you see specifically? Kay asked. What did you see me doing? Sam's hand went into his shirt and farther down. I saw you seeing things far into the future and the past. Perhaps you misinterpreted what you were seeing. I did not. I mean, you said some very strange things during the future telling. Did I? You said my sister was going to be taken in 003256. You said my little sister Hathaline takes her somewhere. Where does she take her? And why? I don't remember any of that. That's not uncommon with future tellings, which is why I hesitated to perform it for her. The future has a tendency to sound very ominous, and I can't really shed any light on what I said because I can't remember it. And you mentioned something about Olono. I don't know that word, and you won't tell me what it is. What is it? Sam stopped, considered her response, and then abruptly changed the subject. That chain I wear on my gown. Do you know why I wear it? You've never said. It's for you, Kay, to protect yourself. From what? From me. Monoma women tend to get a little overly excited when the time comes. I want that time to be now. She crawled on top of him. I don't have the chain here. I won't hurt you much. I've waited for this for years. Sam was all over him. Kay couldn't move. She was like an impossibly strong octopus. Kay felt waves of pleasure come over him. He was on the verge of giving in when a final bit of Vith pride spoke and prevented him from losing himself. Sam, wait. She coiled up a little bit, her black eyes intense. Let's have a contest first. I'm in no mood for contests, Kay. Oh, it'll be fun. What sort of contest? I'll find a place to hide, and you come and find me. She snorted. We've played this game before. You can't hide from me. Hide anywhere you want, and I can find you like that. She snapped her fingers, and she took a deep whiff. I can smell you, Kay. She licked her lips. I think this time you'll be a bit more challenged. She got off and huddled up in the dusty ground. Fine then. Go hide, Kay. Hide anywhere in the castle you want. You have 1 hour. Oh, and Kay? Yeah? She seized a piece of old mortar and shattered it in her hand. You best get that chain and don't be afraid to use it when I find you. My gown is in the reading room. Oh, and while you're there, take a good close look at my gown. Take a hard look. Those little designs on the fabric of my gown, they're called branta. We put branta on our clothes, on our architecture and pottery, everything. Take a look, and that should spell it out for you. You better get moving. Your time starts now. Kay moved down the crawlway. Behind him Sam was huddled up like a wolf ready to spring. See you soon, Kay, she whispered, waving. Kay continued down the crawl and emerged into the east wing. He quickly went to their favorite reading room. There was her gown, neatly folded on the arm of a chair, and her shoes. He pulled the chain off her skirt. It wasn't a light chain by any stretch. It was fairly dense and could do some damage. He took it and readied to leave the room. He recalled what she said and took a look at her gown. Stitched onto the black fabric were bands of intricate black swoops and whirls, very detailed and finely crafted. Other than being pretty designs, he couldn't make much more out of them. He left the reading room and checked his timepiece. He had about 40 minutes left. As he moved down the corridor, he felt that giddy, tingly feeling of being pursued, like when he hid from Sarah when they used to play hide and seek. Certainly, the consequences of being caught were not unpleasant. The chain rattled in his hand. Kay wasn't really in a hurry. He knew exactly where he wanted to hide, and it wasn't all that far from where he started. He walked into the west wing and entered Cathomir's Cathedral, an old chapel dedicated to Lord Cathomir of long ago. It was one of the larger chapels in the castle. It was even presided over by a rector from the village. Kay entered and offered a blessing, and then sat down on one of the pews, setting the chain aside. He enjoyed the vast quiet of the place, the smell of age-old incense, and the lofty splendor of the stained glass windows. At the far end of the cathedral, standing in a dark corner, a bronze statue of Lord Cathomir stood proud, a slight smile hammered into his metallic face. He checked his timepiece. He had a while to go. He got comfortable and put his hat down over his eyes. His thoughts raced. Sam was out there pursuing him, chasing him like a game animal. Like an animal. He slept and had amber dreams, like he sometimes did. His thoughts wandered. He saw Sam's gown in amber hue. There were the designs on her gown, the Bronte designs Sam had mentioned. He saw them greatly magnified. The designs were made up of minute male and female forms in the act of having contorted sex. Apparently, as Sam said, sex made up a large portion of Manama culture. And he saw other things. He saw himself lying in bed, and there was a woman in bed with him. Not Sam, it was a glistening woman in red with twisted hair. She wore a golden mask that covered the top portion of her face. She seemed somehow disfigured. He saw that same woman watching him eat in the Capricos Hall, and watching him at card practice with Father, and looking out at him from the boathouse. He saw her whispering in Sam's ear. There she was, inside some sort of glass coffin full of noisome brown fluid. She was beating on the glass, begging to get out. He saw Sam wearing a thorny necklace of crystal spikes. He saw himself in his bedroom sitting on the floor. A small silvery creature sat next to him. Outside was Sam, beating on the door, trying to get in, splintering the wood. Through his terrace he saw a strange light coming from the west, low on the horizon. And there were bugs, swarms of them, giant bugs from a dream, buzzing wings. 40 minutes came. His timepiece chimed, and he woke up, the amber fading. The dreams he just had jostled in his head. What strange things he saw. This cathedral did that if you allowed yourself to fall asleep here. Gave one odd dreams. Things came into clarity. He was sitting alone in the cathedral, the old smells and empty space filling him up. He checked his timepiece, 1 after. Normally Sam should have caught him by now, for she was that fast zeroing in on him. But he was still alone in the cathedral, no Sam. He wondered what she'd just seen, those visions in amber. What did they mean? He tried to reflect on them, but the visions quickly faded from his memory like a dream that was soon forgotten upon waking. He heard a commotion out in the hallway. Through the crack of the open door leading out into the corridor, he saw Sam go streaking past, moving like a black and white panther. This cathedral really works. Sam passed right by and couldn't detect him. There was no way she could find him in here unless she actually poked her head in and looked. This cathedral was a sort of safe area, a quiet place. Many castles of the north had them, Castle Blanchford being no exception. Here, within the serene confines of the cathedral, one could sit with one's thoughts and be assured of privacy. No eyes from afar could see, and no ears listening in could hear. No clairvoyance or clairaudience, no nothing. Here, one could be alone with one's thoughts. Even his father said he couldn't sight into the cathedral. Kay had no idea how it worked. It just did. More time passed. The rector even tried to evict Kay, but he could not, as Kay's rank outstripped his. At some point, he heard Sam go clattering down the hallway. "Kay!" she yelled, a hint of concern in her voice. "Kay!" He allowed her to run past. Apparently, she wasn't close enough to sniff him out. He stayed in the cathedral, determined to wait it out a few more minutes. He tried to ponder the meaning of his dream in amber, but so much of it had faded in his mind. He remembered something about a golden mask and buzzing wings. Didn't make any sense. "Kay!" came an enraged voice from the door. Standing there was Lady Kylos and a positively livid Sam. She leapt over the pews, launching herself into the air and landing in front of him. She seized him by the shirt and lifted him like a doll. "Kay, what are you doing? Do you know how concerned I was?" "Well, sorry, Sam. I thought the object of the game was to keep you from finding me." She cursed in ennui. "If Kay was hiding from you in here, Sam, then he was cheating. In this cathedral you cannot be spied upon or located via technological or mystical means." She was astounded and her fury faded. She gently set Kay down. "You mean you can come in here and nobody watching you or listening to you can follow?" "No, you couldn't find me, could you?" She looked around at the place with wonder. She saw the bronze statue in the shadows and was startled. Who's that?" she asked, pointing. "It's just a statue of Lord Cathomir, my great-great-great-great-grandfather, I think, give or take a grade or two." "Yes," Kai said in agreement. Mouth open in awe, her mind seemed to fill up with possibilities. I had no idea, no visions, no nothing. I didn't see this place." The three of them sat in there for the rest of the afternoon until the rector demanded they leave. And with that, we conclude Part 1, Chapter 10, Kay's Gifts. So, it hinted about Monomoculture a little bit, that monomas are extremely libidinous. Sex dominates their culture, obviously, in their architecture, their clothing, their pottery. They're obsessed with it. They are much more eager to engage in things like that than, say, the Vith, who are much more demure. And seeing a Vith, Sam is often quite frustrated. If it had been up to her, they'd been having sex long ago. And she can't quite understand it. It confuses her. Like, why don't they want to have sex? And you find out what that chain wrapping around her skirt is. It's for Kay. If Sam starts to lose her cookies a bit, use that chain and basically beat her into submission. That's just how the monomas are. They're a lot more passionate and base than the Vith, who are very cool and demure about things like that. And Kay, at this point in his life, just kind of feels shy about having sex with Sam because he just doesn't feel he measures up because she's strong and fast and can do all these things. And he can't really do anything yet. But as Sam was starting to lose it a little bit, he suggests, let's play a game of hide and seek. When you find me, you can basically have me. And Sam is pretty confident she can find him. She can home right in on him with her thoughts, or she can sniff him out if she's in the wind is blowing the right way. Sam's nose is very acute. In later books, we see just how acute it is and how her nose really affects how she perceives the world around her. But Kay goes and hides in Lord Cathomir's cathedral, and that's always been a thing in my books. These castles always have these cathedrals that you can protect your mind and your thoughts if you're sitting in it. The League is a very verbose place mentally. People are always talking to each other with telepathy. Kay's father, Lord Davidge, and his mother, Lady Sigillis, talk to each other with telepathy all the time. The sisters always speak in telepathy with the Marines. And it's easy for people with certain gifts just to sort of look in on your head whenever they want. The gift of stare, they can just look in and see what's going on in there, take a peek, and then get out. And to have assured privacy is an important thing. There's these little cheap hotels called cricket shacks that have technological means to protect your mind from outside sources. But Cathomir's Cathedral, if you're sitting in it, nobody can scry in on you. No one can hear your thoughts. No one can listen to what's going on around you. It's a pretty safe place, and Sam is astounded by it. So, we learned a few things in that chapter. Next chapter, chapter 11, The Pool, where we see Sam just can't control herself no more, and what happens after that. So, until next week, this is Ren Presents. I'm your host, Ren. Peace out.